Title: The Mummy's Last Breath. They called it the Tomb of Silence, a place so deep in the Egyptian desert that even the wind seemed afraid to pass through.
For centuries, it was only a legend, whispered among Bedouin tribes. But in 1924, British explorer Edward Harrow dared to prove it was real.
Edward was no ordinary treasure hunter. He had studied hieroglyphs since childhood, obsessed with the power of the pharaohs.
But this tomb was unlike any other. The map spoke of a ruler, erased from history, known only as the Silent One. The discovery. After weeks of heat, sandstorms, and dwindling supplies, Edward's team found a crack in the cliffside. Inside, they discovered a tunnel descending into darkness. The air grew colder with every step. Unnaturally cold for the desert. The walls were covered in carvings, showing Nebka not as a man, but as a shadow, punishing entire villages. One inscription read, "To wake Nebka is to wake the desert itself against you." Still, Edward pressed on. The Chamber of Fear? At last, they reached the burial chamber. The coffin was massive, made of black basalt stone, covered in strange symbols Edward had never seen before. Around it lay dozens of smaller coffins, the mummified bodies of servants, all with their mouths stitched shut. Edward's assistant, Thomas, whispered, "Why are their mouths sealed?" Edward replied coldly, "To keep them from speaking in the afterlife. Or warning us now." Ignoring the unease, they pried the sarcophagus open. The awakening. Inside lay Nebka, a tall, broad figure wrapped in decayed linen, but unlike any mummy they had seen before. His skin was not dry, but strangely preserved, almost leathery. Most disturbing of all, his mouth was slightly open, as if mid-breath. The moment the lid slid fully aside, the torches sputtered. A foul stench filled the room, and in the silence, they heard something impossible. The faint sound of air entering lungs. Thomas panicked, shouting they should leave, but Edward, greedy for treasure, began unwrapping the linen from the pharaoh's face. Underneath, Nebka's eyes were closed. Until they weren't. And
they snapped open, glowing like molten gold.
The curse unleashed. The ground trembled. The smaller coffins began to crack open, and the stitched-mouthed servants crawled out, moving in unnatural, jerky motions. Their sealed lips made them eerily silent as they advanced. Edward and Thomas fled through the tunnel, but the path seemed to shift. The exit was no longer where it should be. The tomb was alive, reshaping itself. Behind them, heavy footsteps followed. When Thomas looked back, he saw Nebka himself, towering over the undead servants, his wrappings falling away to reveal skin marked with black, moving symbols. The final stand. They found themselves back in the burial chamber, though they had run in the opposite direction. Nebka raised a hand, and Thomas collapsed, clutching his throat as invisible fingers squeezed the life from him. Edward, trembling, offered the pharaoh his gold and artifacts. But Nebka only spoke one sentence in perfect, ancient Egyptian. "Gold fades. Fear is forever." Nebka stepped forward, his breath cold on Edward's face. Then, darkness. Epilogue. Weeks later, a search party found the camp abandoned. The tomb's entrance was sealed with fresh stone, as if untouched for thousands of years. No trace of Edward or Thomas was ever found, except for a single artifact lying in the sand. An amulet bearing Nebka's symbol. The locals say if you hold it to your ear, you can hear faint breathing.